Welcome to the podcast for your spiritual growth.
Evolve,
Align,
and embrace.
I am Sophia.
And I'm Alex. Let's start.
Hello, lovely. It's so good to have you back. If you're new around here, then welcome to Evolve, Align, and Embrace, the podcast. For today's episode, we wanted to talk about one-on-one coaching. Why one-on-one coaching is so powerful and when it is the time for you to invest in it. We share valuable and super interesting examples of coaching sessions that we went through, and we talk about the benefits and how you can spot when it's time for you to have a breakthrough. Enjoy.
There are many ways, many coaches you can hire, and I think in any area, one-on-one coaching can be very effective. What we mostly want to talk about is about making decisions, connecting to your intuition through the coaching, right? Finding out what is actually going on, like finding out what kind of blocks do I have energetically, and then move through that process of finding your answer and what feels good to you.
So you obviously either work on yourself by yourself or go call a coach and meet up with her because you want to solve something, because you have an issue, because you're looking for breakthrough, because you know and you feel and you experience that there is the restricted thinking or energetical or even maybe physical or mental block that you want to get rid of, where you decided, okay, I'm going to do something about this. I'm not going to wait for life to take me a step further. I'm going to go take life or take a chance and work on it. Also, actually, let's maybe talk about what kind of coachings one can do. I mean, you already said it. There are so many different ways of doing a one-on-one coaching, and it can look so different. It could be in a yoga class, in a yoga studio with a yoga teacher, one-on-one training, or at home doing a one-on-one teaching, yoga class, yoga training. It could be working on, I think there's different techniques like systematic coaching, and you probably meet up in a coaching room with your coach in an office, or there are hypnosis coachings you can do. I think there are tantra coachings you can do. Even a massage can be a coaching. So there are so many, like you said, technical approaches on coachings, and you just have to follow your gut and go with what's coming to you and what life throws at you, what kind of coaches you meet and how you feel with meeting them and with their technical coachings, with their views on coachings, and then decide and just try what was working for you. Yes.
Yeah. And I think when you work with a coach and have a one-on-one session, it often is not that the breakthrough, sometimes the breakthrough happens in the call or during the visit or during the session.
Yeah, you can also do it online, right, in a call.
Yeah, I mostly do mine on calls. That's why I just said that.
Of course.
But mostly for what I have experienced is that my clients take away something from one session and then the breakthrough happens later on, because it has to, kind of really, they have to take everything in and process it. And sometimes we we want a quick fix, even with energy work, right? We think, oh, if I went to an energy healer, I expect that after the session I will be freed from everything. But it mostly takes some time your body just takes time to process everything, your mind. And then it kind of sparks new ideas, sparks solutions. And so that's just one thing that I wanted to kind of bring in, that if you feel like after coaching you don't see immediate results, that doesn't mean that it didn't do anything. It's always a process to move towards our truth, and one step at a time, right? And
yeah, it's true. When I do online coaching, I also usually have that people or their clients after a while tell me, oh, things have changed and I feel different now with this topic. And when I do one-on-one coachings live and we're both in one room, I can check with my clients through kinesiology, through muscle test, how their body feels before and after the intervention. Yes. And the body usually changes, and then of course you have to go back into your life and see how your life is changing and if there's transformation going on, and usually there is. Also, what's really, really important, it's not only where and how you do it, and it's not only about if you have your breakthroughs in a coaching or after your coaching, it's also about who you're working with. Generally, I would say it's also not very important to say it's not always the main thing to know how the coach is working. It's very, very important how you feel with the coach. If there's trust, that is actually one of the most important points and reasons why you should choose this specific coach. It's because there's trust, and with that trust, everything can grow. Everything else can just come. It's like the basis of everything. And also, if you believe in that coach, trust means that you not only look up to the coach, but that you believe in her expertise. Yes.
Yeah, totally. Good that you said that, trust. Wow, yeah, that's so important in any relationship, really. When there's no trust, you can't open up, you don't feel safe with sharing your deepest thoughts, your deepest feelings, and you will get the most out of any coaching session, especially the one-on-ones, when you're able to share everything, even if it's uncomfortable, right? Because that's really what coaching, the one-on-one coaching is for, I believe, is to work on the deep things with somebody who can guide you to and allows you to express them and then flows through them, right? Because that's something we often, when we're at home and we do inner work by ourselves, we often don't allow ourselves to go there because it hurts and we don't know how to deal with the situation. So when we are held by someone, or we are maybe not held because nobody else can really hold us, it's just that somebody else can be there and can hold space for you and your feelings. And when it's kind of like our inborn need to be seen and to be accepted, and when someone is there with you, seeing you fully, accepting how you're feeling and what's going on, not judging anything, then it's so much easier to let things go that don't serve you because it's been seen. And I think that's like such an important point, because really, if you can let things go, it's hard to move forward, or it's hard to move to the next step that you talked about before. Like when like, oh, I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to, have a next step and move into the direction in my life that I know is mine. It's really, really, you're almost restricting yourself of moving there if you can let go of what is holding you back in the first place.
Yes. Yeah. I wrote down 3 points why one-on-one coaching sometimes is more effective than working by yourself on yourself. And one of the reasons is definitely also because of the space that is being held or that is being opened up in the presence of a coach. So if there is trust and you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel, and in that presence you have that kind of feeling of safety, then it is easier to go deep. Yes. And sometimes we really don't want to go places. We don't really want to go feel that stuff, that old stuff that we've been maybe holding back and that has been holding us back. And we're never in a space in our everyday life where we can just let go, feel it, watch it, observe it, and then release everything afterwards. Yes. So that's definitely one of the reasons why a one-on-one coaching is so supportive for your transformation and for your development and for looking into yourself and taking in what's really there, and then also letting go of it. Yes, so safetyness, holding space, presence, being seen, being heard, because that's one of the basic needs of us. Yeah. Also, another reason why I think a one-on-one coaching is very, very effective and can be more effective than working on yourself by yourself is because the presence of this significant other, your coach, can be another pair of eyes that can detect the real blockage, that can view and find it with you, that can find the blind spot, and that can offer, and this person can also offer you a new point of view. If we have a topic, an issue, we sometimes have so many reasons why we don't want to go beyond that, because we don't feel safe. And that is okay. But if we decide we want to go beyond it, then we have to be brave, or we have to open up our mind. And sometimes it's easier to have somebody around who can help us open our minds and who can just borrow us or give us their eyes and their point of view in order to find what we ourselves by ourselves cannot find and see. And so that, because there's so many reasons why we're stuck, and sometimes we can't see the reason without help.
Yeah, because we often are so strongly rooted in our point of view that it's hard for us to shift our perception. And I think often it's also like the coach is kind of like a mirror, because when you have someone in front of you and you start talking about, let's say you have to make a decision, right? And you're not sure if you, for example, if you should, you need to go to visit someone because of some urgency, and you're not sure if you should go by train or by car. Very simple, example. So you weigh out the options, right? So you say, with the car, I have to drive by myself, I have to pay gas, blah, 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 blah. It takes this much hours. With the train, in comparison, it takes that much hours. I could look out the window, but maybe I could not, stop when I want to and maybe stay wherever I want to because I'm on a one-way train. Whatever the circumstances, like just talking about these two options with your coach, for example, will give you an insight of how you feel about each option, because it's not so much about what you say, but how you talk, like how you talk about something. And your coach, at least that's what I often try to do, I try to mirror or ask questions about why do you feel that way, or how do you feel about that, and that just connecting to the feeling of when you talk about something already gives you so much insight. And we often don't do that because we work with our minds too much, and each of us does that, I think, and it's not a bad thing. We are beings that we try to analyze everything with our mind, but often the answer is not in the analysis. It's often in the heart. What is our path, not what seems to be the right path. And you can see that so much in how you speak about something rather than what you say. And giving that mirror to a client and really working on one problem at a time will give you clarity one step at a time. Plus, the client then is able to take that into her or his life and start to make decisions that way. So it's also about learning new tools, specifically that work with us, right? For each client, also often it's about using different tools because everyone is different. So we're learning tools that we can take into our life by experiencing them first in the session to understand what it's really about. Because when we can do the work at home by ourselves as well, but it's not gonna give us that experience that is often needed to internalize the process. Because also yoga class is a good example. When you go to a yoga class and you really experience, for example, Shavasana, I think that's like the main, for me, when I go to a yoga class, I can really dive into Shavasana and I can let myself fall because I'm held, right? Because I know there's the space and I have that experience. Would I have been introduced to Shavasana before, like through an online class? I'm not sure I would be able to take the essence of it and know what I would have to do in Shavasana. I would probably be laying the first time I'm told, lay on your mat and just relax. I would be like, okay, how long? I wanna move now. Like, what am I doing here? But once you have the experience, oh, this is the time where I can just let myself fall, right? Because you already have the experience and you know how good it feels.
A coach can help you get all your thoughts and your mind, your mind struggles into order. Plus, he can or she can help you to maybe experience more what is the next step rather than being in your mind and just being stuck up there, and go down a level deeper. And then also finding ways of starting somewhere before you just dive in, but really find something to give it order in your solutions. Yes. And also the coach can give you a frame in where okay, this is the space and this is where I am right now. So for Shavasana, for example, if you understand what it's for, if you understand how long and why you would have to do it after yoga class, just to lay there and do nothing, then you can maybe let go. If you trust the process, if you know what the process is about, if you kind of know the frame of the process. Yeah. So that's number one, is the space is getting held by the coach. And within that frame or within that space, you might be able to go deeper because you feel more safe than when you do it by yourself and you're being watched. And also, the second point is the coach can help you see more and structure and find blind spots, give you other views on the topic, on the issue. Yes, and then I also wrote down that one-on-one coachings can help you solve issues faster, just faster than when you do it by yourself. Because of those 2 points before that, and because somebody has maybe a good technique, and to work on something on yourself with somebody is maybe more effective and therefore faster, because it's another person working on it. It's not just you, but a second person putting the work in and focusing on you and your issue. So sometimes you have to read a book and write a lot of journal letters, and then you get there, and sometimes just one session with a coach is a good investment to get to the same goal just a little bit faster. That's also a reason why one-on-one coachings can be more supportive and effective, because it's sometimes just faster.
Yeah, and if we don't get other input in, even if we, I have phases where I read a lot, or I listen to a lot of podcasts, and sometimes that feels really good, and sometimes it's information overload, and I actually need to tune into my intuition in order to find a solution. And a coach gives you only the information that is valuable for your situation. So because we work with your specific situation and problem, you won't have to go through so much information in order to pick something out that might move you forward. But you only get what you need. And therefore, sometimes, if you take in too much information, I always encourage anyone to learn and grow their knowledge. But sometimes it can be too much, because we lose touch of our own intuition and what feels good to us, because we then pick up so many things, what other people do, say, think, that we almost jump into their kind of view of life and then lose our own touch to life. And I think I can just speak of also some sessions that I myself had with my first coach. And it was very interesting because she was the first one to open my eyes more and let me question how I think about things that I didn't even at that point think that it would be a problem, or that was something unusual or maybe unhealthy to think. I was just thinking in some ways that held me back of living joyfully, honestly, and stepping into my potential, because I restricted myself unknowingly, having some sort of limiting beliefs. And when you're not aware yet that you have these limiting beliefs, then it can be very challenging to get there yourself to understand that.
Yeah, somebody else can point it out faster. Be like, stop right there. What have you just said? Where's that coming from? Actually, that doesn't have to be like that. This belief is blocking you didn't you know that? Yeah, it can be really quick that somebody is picking up something that could be an issue for you that you didn't know and you weren't aware of until that moment. Yeah, somebody can hold your space so you feel safe to actually work. And also the presence of another person, of the coach, is so helpful to find and see what the real issue is and where the blind spots are that you maybe on your own wouldn't find. I can also share some examples that are very fascinating for coachings that can prove why those reasons that we just said are definitely a thing. Here's the story number one. It's really interesting how the body and the mind are connected. It's all intertwined and it's all the same, actually, usually. And sometimes you just forget that. So there was a friend and she had back pain. She was working with her body and was making money with performing and physical arts and stuff. And we said, okay, let's dive into that problem. Let's see if on a energy and mental level we can solve the issue of your back pain. And then through work, we could dive into her subconscious and find out that it is somehow, without us knowing where we're landing here, connected to a time in her life when she started training. And the trainer who was around her very often for that period of time, I think for a couple of years, she went to this trainer every day, was just sharing his values on the business and on life. And she automatically took them on, those values. Ideas and thoughts about this is how life goes. This is how you have to think when you are a performer in this world. And she took it on. And then she grew up. And now, as a grown-up woman, she couldn't go with those values anymore. She outgrew those thoughts. And she realized, or her body or something in her realized that she had to find different thoughts and different values and different strategies to go through her life, to live her version of being a performer. And inside of herself was a constant conflict between the old values that were still inside of her and that she didn't let go yet, and the fact that she needed different ones in order for her to be a healthy, happy being. And this conflict, or the stack values inside of her, were just physically manifested as back pain, because the back kind of stands for your support that is holding you up when you're standing your ground, when you're standing strong in life. And if you are not being supported enough, that's when physical back pain can occur. And when we found through working with her body those connections to her past and the teacher, we could intervene and let her go back into that feeling and into those emotions, like the emotions that had to be felt in order for them to be free and go away. And after that, the back pain was gone. So that's just one of the stories that really, really, really fascinated me in my coaching work. And it was so simple and so easy. And also she herself, also me, myself, we wouldn't have come up with that solution or with that reason why her back pain occurred in the end by ourselves. It was the work and the presence of us working together that made it happen, that we could go there and solve it.
That's a really beautiful story. It makes me really smile that you were able to go there and to discover this and then to solve it right there and then. When we start to have physical, not only physical, also mental or emotional, like imbalances. I had a client who always had these headaches, or I had this client who felt really anxious all the time. When there's something that is really holding you back from living at your best, that's a sign that there's something to break through, that there's something to work on, because it's really just like symptoms. And very early in my childhood, my mom always did homeopathy with us. And that's when I learned that symptoms are not to be treated, but the symptoms are just a sign for that there is something going on underneath. And when we have these symptoms, whatever they may look like, is it back pain, is it headache, is it emotional distress, if it's so present in your life, it's really a sign that you need to work on something energetically, emotionally, mentally, whatever it is. But you often won't know until you really move into it, right? So for example, also I had this client who she was so anxious about life, about any decision she had to make, about any relationship, and she just never felt sure, and just anxiety spiked always when she had something to deal with. And really what it came down to was that we realized that she hadn't accepted herself fully yet. She hadn't accepted yet how others stand to her or how others relate to her. And on just working to ground her in who she is, understanding herself, accepting herself, and loving herself, then that's when the anxiety just was gone. And she was just like, wow, I just don't feel that way anymore. And it was just about really learning to love herself. And again, that's also one, probably I had that a couple of times, that, and for myself, I experienced that for myself too, through my coachings. I think that's something that is really hard to work on yourself often, because, you just see yourself the way you see yourself from within. And when you can change that picture yourself, I think it's so valuable to get someone to help you see you from a different light, and from what you really are. Whenever you have a symptom, that's a sign that one-on-one coaching could be really something for you. And again, we said in the beginning, like, there are so many different ways, so many different coaches. Maybe it's therapy, but that's also one-on-one, coming together and working on you, focusing on you. And
it's just about you. Yeah, that's also so healing to know, okay, now it's just about me. I don't have to give back, I can just take. And even that is just so cool. I really always love it. I gave you money, and therefore it can only be about me, and I love that. Let's talk just about me. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I had another very interesting coaching I really want to share with you. It was so random and different. A woman came to me, and she said, yeah, well, I'm here because I asked her, so why are you here? And she said, well, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have the life I want to live. My husband, my family, or my boyfriend, my family, my children, our house, everything's good. But I don't know why. I actually do go and I see another guy, and I don't know why I do it. And he's not even great. And I have what I do, what I have. I don't know what I'm doing. And of course I feel horrible. And you know what? I just thought, oh man, maybe she is not honest. I assumed with my brain, maybe she's not honest with herself and with her self-value, and she just needs more attention, and she doesn't know how to to get it from her husband or how to give it to herself, was something that I put together in my mind that probably could be the reason of this outcome of this situation. But when we started working with her subconscious and with her body through the muscle test, we found out that she subconsciously has taken on an old issue and topic that was actually working in her boyfriend. And yeah, because her boyfriend was still mad and didn't let go of emotions about the situation of his mother when he was a child, seeing another guy or cheating on his father with another guy. And because he never dealt with those emotions, they were still in him and working in him. And now, in the now, he didn't want to get married to the mother of his children, because he's still scared that once he's married, this can happen again and she can go and cheat on him. So he was at that point still acting and going through life because of those fears that he didn't let go of. He wasn't free of them. And he subconsciously brought those unsolved emotions and fears into the relationship. And in life, we can always subconsciously take on issues, topics, emotions from our partner, from people who are close to us, from people who are close to our heart, sometimes even from people on the street. We're all connected. So this can just happen. And she, subconsciously took on that whole stuff and therefore acted out of it. We found out about that through working with her bodies, her subconscious, and sometimes we would even laugh. And that it was so crazy. And we let go of it. I was holding space for her. And when I asked her a couple of weeks later, hey, how are you actually doing with everything? She didn't even talk about it anymore. And that's also a sign of that topic going away, transforming, and being solved. That when you talk to your client a couple of weeks later and ask, so how are you right now? What's going on? They don't even talk about what we've been talking about in the coaching anymore, because it's just gone now.
So,
I really do still wonder what's going on. But it's not my job to know. It's my job to just hold her space and give her the opportunity to find out and solve issues in that moment when we're together.
One thing that just popped into my mind while you were speaking and telling the story is also that sometimes, at least for myself, before I ever had somebody coach me, ask myself, why do I have to go to a person that I don't know to get advice, basically? Like, why don't I just talk to people that, are close to me and know me? And that's also a way you can, get feedback, talking to your family or close friends or whatever. And while it's beautiful to share things with the people around you that you trust, sometimes they are also biased. They already have an opinion. They have their own opinion. And then it's less about finding out what is right for you, but more getting advice. Coaching, in comparison, is finding out what's going on inside of you. So going to someone and who knows you and who knows your living situation, it will not get you connected to yourself, but you also, when you have a problem, and I'm saying that very lightly now, but you put some weight on them. When you share something that you are still trying to figure out, and again, like, of course we talk to our friends and family about things that that we want to solve ourselves. And I'm not saying that you should not go to anyone and not talk about your problems, but sometimes doing a deep dive into your problems is more efficient with someone who's standing outside and who can, first of all, like help you again find out what is right for you and what you should do in this situation. But also these people, Alex and me included, we are trained to leave the problems with you and not take them with us home. And a lot of people who are not very,
Who are emotionally connected to you, who are your friends or your family, right?
exactly, they worry about you, and they don't, they often take these problems with them home, and or take the situation home with them, and therefore it's kind of like just leaving a package there rather than solving something for you. And so so I think also that's a very good point I wanted to touch on. It just came to me that yes, we can solve certain things with just the people around us, but often it's just nice to have
Objective almost.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, view from somebody else, from the outside. Yeah,
who can just lay flat what's going on without pulling up other stuff. Because when somebody knows you and you come to them with a certain situation, they will bring to you also like other situations that are similar and compare, and again, working with our mind, trying to analyze, and that can sometimes be not so helpful.
it can be confusing. It can be too opinionated. Yes. Yeah, because they already have a perspective on you and on how you live your life. And yes, definitely. There was one story I would love to share. Is I was once working with a person who said we always would work together and talk to each other in the dance industry life. And he would always say, well, I'm single for such a long time, and yeah, I don't know, I have a theory of what it is. I don't really know what's holding me back. I have a theory, I don't know. And I suggested a coaching session, and at one point we got together to do that. And it didn't take 10 minutes because we just had to look for this one reason why he's feeling, he was held back from going out there and attracting a new partner. And once we found that thing, which also it was possible to not name it, to just leave it there. I don't have to know everything about my client. We found it. He knew what it was, but I didn't have to know. And because I was there and I said, okay, now just breathe with it, just be with it. And we could intervene and let him go through the emotions that were always blocked inside of him. Yeah, and we checked if the body was still, after we did that intervention, was still weak about this whole topic. And we found out, no, it wasn't. It's solved now. It was fine. And within 10 minutes, we just had to do this one. We just had to find this one thing that was holding him back and solve it, and be with it. And therefore it's solved always. Things that are being seen can fly away. And if things are not being seen, they are going to stay there and say, look at me, I'm here. You ignore me, but I'm here. I'm part of you. Yeah. Anyways, and within 1 month, or at least super short time, he found his new partner. They moved together where they wanted to move. It was crazy how fast everything changed. And yeah, they're still together, and it looks fine to me, and harmonic and nice, and very, very happy and glad. And yeah, it's this one, sometimes it's just this one moment in your life where you need space, where you need to feel like, okay, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to go there now, because there's somebody with me, and that person gives me trust and is holding me, and yeah, let's do this. So yeah, that was also something I really wanted to share with you guys, so you kind of know what could be possible within sessions with a coach.
Yeah, and I think in any way getting support is always super valuable. Like, and it can look different, right? One-on-one support, you can go into a group coaching where you have other people around you who are in a similar stage in life, and you can share experiences, which is also very helpful. Or you can find someone who you resonate with. If you feel like one-on-one coaching is just not possible right now for me, financially or whatever it may be, then finding someone who you can relate to, who you trust, and who is in a similar stage in life, and then connecting yourself with that person in and really being open to, connecting on a level where you hold each other accountable to stay truthful to yourself, or whatever deal basically you want to go into that relationship, but be very clear that, hey, I'm looking for support, do you want support too? And kind of, it's all in your hand, right? It's of course most effective is always getting someone who has potentials or knows what he or she is doing, to move you further. But as I said, if that's not an option right now, there are other options. But all in all, it's also, I feel like, surrounding yourself with people who are on the same level, or even on a level that you would like to be, always raises your awareness. And so I think connecting to other people rather than only studying by yourself at home can spark some realizations so much faster, because you get drawn into other worlds and into a wider understanding of life and of yourself,
without ever going back to your own connection.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's also an investment to do one-on-one coachings. You have to pay the person, and yeah, you cannot always, people don't always have the money, but sometimes it's the best way to invest your money.
To yourself. And investing in yourself, there's actually, like, in life, investing in yourself is gonna give you the most
outcome, the best
outcome and payback, basically, because you start to live life truthful to you, and that gives you so much strength, so much joy, so much willpower to move towards the things that you want in life. And therefore, also, if you're looking for abundance in any aspect of your life, then you need to first be on that frequency of abundance. And to be on that frequency of abundance, you need to be completely authentic and truthful to who you are. And often something is holding us back. And when we invest in ourselves in that way, that we get one-on-one coaching where we really work on ourselves, then we move up our frequency one step at a time. And that will let us attract things to us, as you just had the beautiful example of that client of yours who attracted a relationship. Right? It's all about attracting in the end, and how energy flows through our being and where we stand in the world. And when we work on ourselves, we will stand higher. And it's not so much about working so hard to get something, but aligning with where we want to be and who we want to be and what we want. And one-on-one coaching just nails it super fast. And that's why investments are always, as decisions that we have to make, if it's worth our money. But really, we should ask ourselves, how much are we worth? Once you go through that process, if you listen to this and you've never taken coaching, one-on-one coaching, then just maybe do it one time, just to experience it, just a one-time session. And hopefully you will see what it can do for you, and how investing in yourself in this way can just up-level so many aspects of your life in such a short amount of time.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
This was our episode about when and why you should invest into one-on-one coaching. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you got inspired. If you have any questions, or if you want to consult us for a one-on-one coaching, you can contact us anytime. If you have anything to add, or if you want to share your story with us, contact us on Instagram, on YouTube, or on our websites. We put them here in the show notes. Thank you so much. Take care, and bye-bye.